I was into construction stuff before my girly phase, which you might have heard me talk about in my other videos when I talk about LGBTQ stuff, that I went through a girly phase. I played with the girls and I just became one of the girls. So before my girly phase, I had my cranes and tractors phase. And then I got into girly things like lip gloss and little handbags and hairpins and things like that. Yeah, I was really girly. But that didn't last. I outgrew it. And that's why I'm so glad I'm Gen X and they didn't put me on drugs or chop things off. Do you know what I mean? That's what happened to me nowadays. So I've just been for a supermarket shop in Chinatown because I buy most of my groceries in Chinatown in the Chinese supermarket. Well, no, I wouldn't say most of my groceries. Depends what I'm looking for. I certainly prefer to buy my meats in Chinatown because they sell like beef brisket and tendon and chicken gizzards and all that kind of stuff, and tripe, all the kind of meats that we Hong Kongers like to eat that you can't get in the Western supermarket. And I captured my trip to the supermarket. Long Fong is my favorite Chinese supermarket, or Long Fong as we say in Cantonese, because tone is everything in Cantonese. It's not Long Fong, it's Long Fong. Long means dragon. I don't know what Fong is, Long Fong, but Long means whole, whereas Long means dragon. So you can't get your tones wrong. You get, if you pronounce word in a different tone, like a different note, it has a totally different meaning. Like I often use this example, the word hai, which means yes. Hai is yes, hai is shoe, hai is crab, hai is cunt. So you gotta be really careful your tones. But yeah, I captured my Chinese supermarket shop, but you're not gonna see it in this video because whenever I do Chinesey stuff, I do it in Cantonese and it goes on my Cantonese account. Yeah, because I've got a second account, well, I've got multiple accounts, Cantonese language account called Canto Banter, Donnie's Canto Banter, but it's just at Canto_Banter. And that's where I post all my Cantonese language content. And I speak kind of a broken Cantonese, which we call Chinglish, half Chinese, half English. But I'm trying to improve. I'm trying to work on my Cantonese, and that's part of the reason why I opened that account. So any Cantonese speakers out there, do follow my Cantonese language account, Canto Banter. There's a link in my bio. So this is what is the name of this street again? This is the one where they did that Oasis album cover from the 90s, that famous album cover. Berwick Street, yeah. It's very quiet lately. I've noticed that all the streets of London and Chinatown was really quiet. It's normally way busier, but I noticed as soon as we entered November, it went really quiet. And I think it's because nobody has any money. I mean, all their money is going to Christmas shopping, right? For this month and next month. So eating out is a luxury that people cannot afford in November, December, and actually January and February too. So the areas like this, like Soho and Chinatown, that are normally very busy at dinner time, are dead now. But the shopping streets are busy. I hate that about Christmas season, and I don't really do Christmas. My whole life I've never really made a big thing of Christmas. I wasn't raised with Christmas as a big priority. Yeah, I don't have a gazillion people to buy Christmas gifts for. For most of my life, I've had a general agreement with most people that don't buy me a gift and I won't buy you one. It's stupid, right? Like, if I want something, I'll get it. And if I don't want anything, it's silly to get me something just for the sake of getting me something, but you don't really know what I want, so you get me something that I don't really want, and then I get you something that you don't really want. So I find the only way it works out is if you tell people what you want, and then you may as well get it yourself. It's so stupid, isn't it? Oh, you get me this and I'll get you that. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. But as kids growing up, we always told our parents what we wanted for Christmas, because yeah, they bought us presents, but we didn't buy any other, like, we mostly didn't have to buy presents for anybody else. You know, when I say we, my brother and I, we just received presents from our parents, and that's it, really. And yeah, you'd have to tell them what you want, right? Because your parents don't know what you want. Like, when I was a kid, it was always very precise. I'd wanted, like, what I most wanted for a long time was a Cathay Pacific 747. And it had to be Cathay Pacific, and it had to be a 747, not just any old plane. And so, you know, there's always something specific that you know you want, and your parents would never know, so you have to tell them. And so often we just end up going to the shop with our parents to buy the thing too. I went through different phases in my life where I was obsessed with different types of toys. So for years I was obsessed with planes, and I also went through a construction equipment phase. Like, my favorite thing was cranes, but I also liked tractors and steamrollers and what are those pounding machines called? It's got this big cylinder that goes up and down, pounding the ground. Yeah, I love those too. And that was before I was into construction stuff, before my girly phase, which you might have heard me talk about in my other videos when I talk about LGBTQ stuff, that I went through a girly phase where I wanted to be a girl. And that's because I went to a school. It all started in Taiwan when I went to a school, my first co-ed or mixed gender school. And I remember my first day of school, there was a tug of war. All the boys were pulling me on one side, like by one arm, and all the girls by the other arm, because they wanted me to play with them. And because I was the new kid. And like, see, this is one of the reasons why I have never feared being the odd one out, or being the foreigner, or being othered or whatever, because my experience of being the new kid and a foreigner everywhere I went was awesome. I was always the center of attention, right? And so yeah, my first day of school in Taiwan, there was a tug of war between the boys and the girls, and the girls won, so I played with the girls. And then from then on, I was one of the girls. Yeah, so it started a girly phase in my life. Yeah, I've never told you this part of it before, because those of you who follow me for a while will have heard me talk about how I went through a phase for a few years where I wanted to be a girl. But this is where it started. That I remember, it was that one day, and then I played with the girls, and I just became one of the girls. So before my girly phase, I had my cranes and tractors phase. And then I got into girly things like lip gloss and little handbags and hairpins and things like that. Yeah, I was really girly. But that didn't last. I outgrew it. And that's why I'm so glad I'm Gen X and they didn't put me on drugs or chop things off. Do you know what I mean? That's what happened to me nowadays. But yeah, even during my girly phase though, I was still in love with planes because we traveled a lot when I was a kid. We moved from one country to another. I went to school in all these different countries and learned different languages. And I was a perpetual foreigner. And that's another stereotype that doesn't work on me. You know this perpetual foreigner thing that leftists obsess over, that it's like a bad thing. No, I love being a foreigner because I was always welcomed everywhere I went, and it was a wonderful experience. And what it taught me was that everybody's the same everywhere you go, and everybody was hospitable and showed me so much love. And those were the first 7 years of my life, and they say that your personality is formed by the age of 7. So I had 7 years. Well, no, not 7. It started when I was 3. It was only like 4 or 5 years. Yeah, 4 years. Even though when I was age 6 or 7, I was deeply in my girly phase, I was still obsessed with planes. And so my ultimate Christmas present would have been a toy plane. And it had to be one of the airlines that I was familiar with. So I would have wanted, Cathay Pacific would have been my first choice. And I would have also wanted a Northwest Orient, a CP Air, Pan Am, British Airways. Yeah, I think those were the airlines that I probably had flown most and was most in. Also, because different airlines, the liveries are, some of them are more attractive than others, right? And the 80s liveries on a 747, oh my god, I was so obsessed with them. I drew pictures of them all the time. But yeah, back in the day, we were so humble, weren't we? Like us Gen X kids, all I would have wanted for Christmas would have been a toy plane. Nowadays, they want all this tech stuff that costs a fortune, that is actually meant for adults. And parents, I feel sorry for parents these days, that they have to bust their asses buying all these gadgets and all these subscriptions to, like, you know, Netflix and Spotify and God knows what else. Like, I don't even know what kind of things that they have to pay for kids who are into gaming. But like, you're just like a slave to your family. Like they say we live in a patriarchy. No, the father is a slave, busting his ass to make money to pay for the wife's shoes and hair, makeup, and the kids' tech. And like, you're basically, your whole life is just as a slave to buy rubbish for your family.